finally got my hands on the Google Pixel Watch 3, and as a first-time smartwatch user, I'm pretty impressed. So I originally considered getting the Pixel Watch when it released back in 2022, but I didn't think I needed a smartwatch. So I decided to get the Pixel Watch 3 now because of the Google Store credits. I got approximately 500 Canadian dollars back. This was including the Google One 10% credits. The Pixel purchase credit is over, but if you still want to get anything from the Google Store, if you have any one of these Google One subscriptions, you should be able to get 10% back from any purchase in the Google Store. So there are two different watch sizes, the 41mm and the 45mm. The 45mm will run you about $50 more than the 41mm, but you get a larger screen, which is about 30% larger than the 41mm, and you get a longer battery life. It does come in less color options compared to the 41mm, so if you do want the peony color option and the champagne gold, you'd have to go for the 41mm. It's a little more restricted for the 45mm one, but if you're a bigger person and you have large hands or large wrists like me, then you might want to go for the 45mm because it's more proportional. It also does have more battery life, so there are some positives to it. So for $50, I do think it's worth it. I'll have the specific wrist sizes for both of them up here. They both do come with a small and large wristband, so you do have some flexibility there for different wrist sizes. And of course, it's an adjustable band, so you are able to adjust it to fit your wrist. And you do have the option of getting it with LTE, which is $100 more on each of the models. And if you are considering that, just make sure your carrier is supported. I personally don't think it's worth it. $100 more just for that. I usually always have my phone with me, but if you're someone who goes on runs without your phone with you, you can get the LTE one. And something to note is the LTE one is capable of making emergency calls even if you don't have a SIM in it. So it's a safety feature, I guess. So I ended up getting the 45mm in matte black with the obsidian band, and I got this with just Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, no LTE. So there it is, and you can see why I got it. I did a short unboxing video. If you do want to check that out, it will be down in the description or up here. Pixel Watch 3 45mm with just Wi-Fi. So you don't really get a lot in the box, just the band in two different sizes, a small and a large. You get the charger, some paperwork, and the watch itself. This is a charger. It's just got 4 little prongs right there. It comes with a USB-C charger, obviously, that magnetically attaches onto this, but you can only do it in one direction. This cable here has to be aligned with the crown right there. So you've got to do it like that, and then you should be charging. Right at the box, the bands aren't attached. You will need to attach them. It's not very difficult. I didn't need to read the instructions because I struggled a little bit with it. There's a little button right there. What you do is you take your band, you overlap it with the button, just twist down, and your band is attached. You want to make sure you hear that click just to know it's attached. You do this on the other side as well, and then you're good to go. And that's all for the unboxing. So now let's talk about the design and build quality. And I just love the design. It's sleek, it's light, and it's comfortable. I'm basically able to wear this all day and all night, and I usually get tired of wearing jewelry. So to be able to wear this all the time is just, I think it's great. So the 45mm is 6 grams heavier than the 41mm. I'll have the specific weight up here. And obviously this comes with the active band, not the active sport band. This is just a light rubber band. And the active sport band does have the little holes in it. So you do get some more airflow, and it's a little bit lighter with that. You do also have the option of getting certain leather bands and some metal bands, but I think the build is great. It's just fantastic. It feels solid. So I haven't worn the Apple Watch before, so I can't really talk on how it feels compared to the Apple Watch or the Galaxy Watch, but I do really like this like round design compared to the Apple Watch's spherical. I don't know, it just looks more like a traditional watch, and it's more sleek in my opinion, more subtle. Pretty sure I've seen people wearing the previous Pixel Watches before, and I was able to clock that it was a Pixel Watch, but it's not as prominent as an Apple Watch, and I personally like that. If you do like the Apple Watch and how distinct it is, that's perfectly fine. So now let's talk about the software and the features. So my experience using the watch has been great. I don't really have any previous experience to compare it to. This is my first smartwatch, but it's just it's been mint. The display is super bright, the screen is smooth. I've had no software issues, no lagging or anything, and well, let's be honest, it's a Pixel, so a software issue on launch wouldn't really be that unusual. Everything has been quick and responsive, the battery life has been great, and usually after 24 hours, I'm at 40 to 50%, so you could theoretically possibly get 48 hours out of it. I do have all the battery draining options. I've got the always on display, I've got the lift to wake, touch to wake, and all those sort of things. I do have the 45mm, so it does have a slightly larger battery capacity compared to the 41mm, but I don't really know how different that will be. If you do get the 45mm, I think you're covered for at least a day and a half, and you'll possibly be able to push it to 2 days. I've had no issues with the charging speed, so Google advertises that the 45mm can do 50% in 28 minutes, 80% in 50 minutes, 100% in 80 minutes, and a 41mm can do 50% in 24 minutes, 80% in 35 minutes, and 100% in an hour. So I was able to charge charge it from 47% to 60% in less than 11 minutes. So I believe what they're advertising is pretty close to what you'll get in reality. It's usually full for me after 30 minutes to an hour, but this is usually going from 40 or 50% to 100. So I think if you're able to charge it for about 45 minutes a day, you should have no issues with it. I personally charge mine when I'm going to shower. So I take it off, put it on the charger, and by the time I'm out, it's full. I usually shower at the same time. So by the next day, it's usually at the same percentage, and I go shower, charge it, it's back up. So I've never had it actually die. I mean, it's never dropped below like 40%. Now, in terms of tracking, I haven't really tested the fitness and exercise tracking. I'm hoping on going out or going to the gym to really test it out. I've only tested out with like light home workouts, which I don't think really count, but it has the usual things that you'd see on other watches. It's got a heart rate sensor, oxygen saturation monitoring, and it's even capable of performing an ECG. They say that's useful for, can't remember the condition. It's useful for detecting that. I tested it out and it said my heart rate was not irregular, so good. None of these metrics are super important to me, but it could be to other people, so you know that if you need it. What is really useful for me is the sleep tracking. It tells me how long I slept, the quality of my sleep, and it breaks down the different stages of sleep. It's just really nice to have an overview of that information and be able to use it to improve my sleeping habits. Now, things that I haven't tested, the water resistance. I haven't taken this into a pool or even had it under running water. It is IP68 rated, so you're probably okay going into a pool, having some splashes, having it under running water. It's rated up to 1 meter for 30 minutes, I believe, but I don't want to risk it personally, so I'm just gonna stay away from water as much as I can. Even my Pixel 6 Pro, I believe, is IP68. I've had that for 3 years, and I don't think I've ever had it under water. My Pixel 9 Pro XL is also IP68 rated. That's what I'm recording this on. And if you'd like me to do a video on that, just comment down below and let me know what you'd like me to talk about, and I'll cover that in the future. But I don't think the Pixel Watch has a feature similar to the Apple Watch's water lock to eject water, but you can lock the touch inputs so you know it doesn't mess around and do anything if you're underwater, if you do get it wet. So here the thing is I love about the Pixel Watch. I'm a huge Google fan, obviously. I've got the Google Pixel Sam 2, I've got the Pixel Buds, I've got Pixel 6 Pro, Pixel 9 Pro XL, I've got an S Mini. I'll try to be as critical as possible. Pixel, and so I obviously love the watch, and I think you should get it if you have a Pixel as well. It's the obvious choice. So I'm new to smartwatches, so some of these things that I do enjoy might not be specific to the Pixel Watch. It could just be a smartwatch feature. Like I said, I don't really have anything to compare it to. So here's some things that I do love about it. The Google Home controls. So I have some devices connected to my Google Home and obviously my Google Nest Mini. And just being able to control this all from my wrist and able to interact with my assistant directly from my wrist is just amazing to me. So I have smart lights and other devices connected to my Google Home, so being able to control those all directly from my wrist is pretty cool in my opinion. I'm also able to interact with the assistant directly through here. Tell me a joke.
Why shouldn't you write with a broken pencil? Because it's pointless.
Being able to see the weather as well, so obviously able to customize the tiles that you have on the watch face. I'm able to glance right down at my wrist and see the weather if I need to decide what to wear if I'm going out. And I don't need to pull out my phone for all this, because even if I was just going out for a brief amount of time, I'd have to grab my phone, see what the weather is, but I could literally just, as I'm standing wherever I am exactly in space and time, I can just pull up my wrist and know what the weather is. That's great. And I know this is a smartwatch feature, not a Pixel Watch feature, but just being able to see my notifications on my wrist while I'm working without distracting me from my working has just been able to increase my productivity. I just continue typing away, glance at my wrist, and if it's urgent, I answer them. And lastly, the customizability. There's just such a large variety of watch faces. I haven't checked them all out. I just have this one here that I really like, and I just like it. You're able to customize what exactly you want to see on there, the colors. You can customize the tiles you have, so you can have whatever information is important to you, very easily accessible. Nothing is perfect, so there has to be something that I don't like about this. So there are just a couple tiny things that I wish I could change. The first is, you know, we have the crown and we've got this button right over here. And as far as I know, there's no way to reassign what the buttons do. By default, one tap on the crown will bring up your app store. 2 taps will bring up your Google Wallet for contactless payment. Press and hold will bring up your power menu. And this button up here is for the most recent apps. So if you press it once, that brings up your most recent apps. Press it twice real quick and it brings up your Google Wallet. You press and hold that, and that's how you can activate the assistant, because for some reason whenever I say it doesn't trigger the watch, it triggers my other devices. That's not a huge issue, I can just trigger it manually with this. So yeah, I just wish I could reassign the buttons, that way I'm able to choose what functions and apps I want to be very easily accessible. If there's a way to do it and I just completely missed it, just please let me know. And second of all, the speaker isn't that great. It isn't awful. If you're talking with the assistant, you can hear what the assistant says. You can also read what the assistant says on the screen, so that's not that big of a deal. But if you're on a call, you can still hear what people are saying. I haven't taken too many calls on it. I've taken at least one, and I was in a quiet place. So if you're taking a call in a louder place or outside maybe, I don't know, you might not be able to hear it that clearly, but it just sounds a little low quality. Now that might be completely normal because it's a tiny device that has a tiny speaker inside of it. So it might not be as clear as this device like a full-on smartphone or bookshelf speakers. I have no other watches to compare it to, so this is just my experience with this. Well, yeah, those are my thoughts, and I'm planning on making more videos like this in the future. So if you're interested in that and you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and like the video as well. That will really help the channel. And if you'd like me to cover any specific Google devices or tech in general, just let me know and I'll do my best to cover it. And that's all. Subscribe for more.